Hey guys, how are you tonight?
Hey, Chad. Hey, Dave.
What's going on?
Not too much.
Hi.
It's another Tuesday night, another episode of Paranormal Lens. This is episode 8, I believe. So we've gotten through 8 of them. My name's Chad Thomas. I'm here with Jamie Widener and David Deromedi. We're going to talk about crop circles tonight. Something that's interested me for a while. I didn't really know too much about it, but it's something that I've always remembered from my childhood of hearing things about them, and I'm like, what is it? Let's see what I can find out about it. So I did some research this week, and I will present a little bit of information for you. So starting off, we'll go with the typical definition. If you look up the word crop circle in Merriam-Webster's dictionary, you'll find the following entry. Crop circle is a noun, a geometric and especially a circular pattern of flattened stalks in a field of grain, now usually attributed to natural phenomena or the work of hoaxers trying to create the impression of a visit by extraterrestrial beings. Can I get the next slide, Jamie? So if you look at that definition, you may say right off the bat that crop circles are not supernatural. And I guess it might be a short episode if that's the case. So what creates these large landscape art forms? The first and most obvious explanation is humans. You can go to the next slide, Jamie. According to the Smithsonian Magazine, Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley created their first crop circle in a wheat field in Wiltshire, England in the late 1970s. It is believed that one night over drinks, Bauer said to Chorley, "Let's go over there and make it look like a flying saucer has landed." Now, I'm not sure how many drinks it takes to get to that point, but it can't just be one or two. So how was it done? Next slide, Jamie. According to these two Englishmen, they used a simple board and rope. They used the board to flatten the stalks of the crop, which was typically a grain, and a rope was used to measure from the center point out and keep everything neat and orderly. In 1991, the two men admitted to creating over 200 crop circles in the area around Wiltshire. The region is also known for another phenomenon, Stonehenge. So if these two men created all the crop circles, you may say it's an open and shut case, but that would be jumping to a premature conclusion. Next slide, Jamie. Data on the website cropcirclefilms.com states that since the 1980s, there have been over 30,000 crop circles that have been documented in more than 25 countries, though Wiltshire is still the epicenter of the activity. So where did all this start? Next slide. The earliest recorded item that can be linked to crop circles dates back to 1678, as was this news pamphlet. The big difference with this story and typical crop circles is that this crop was cut, not just bent. The story goes that a farmer refused to pay the price that his laborers demanded for mowing his field. He said that he would rather have the devil mow it himself instead. That night, his field appeared to be in flames. The next morning, when the field was checked, it was perfectly mowed and, quote, that no mortal man was able to do the like, unquote. In 1935, a young boy named Paul Germany in Hillian claimed to have witnessed two crop circles in the making. His description of a trilling sound and then the sudden bending of wheat stalks by a great vibration was similar to those of almost 80 other eyewitnesses since then. In 1937, he also saw another set of rings appear, as documented in this excerpt from a letter. About 7 o'clock in the morning, the wind began to increase and swirl around. I paused and just happened to be looking across a shallow valley to the opposite side. The first crop ring appeared, then another, and a third. The spacing between rings 1 and 2 was 100 meters, between 2 and 3, 80 meters, all in a straight line. The time interval between the 3 rings was about 3 seconds. If you can go to the next slide, Jamie. In 1966, an Australian farmer claims to have seen a flying saucer leaving a swampy area. As he investigated the area, he found a circular pattern in an area of reeds and swamp grass. Some accounts also state that the center of the area was mounded up. Some other natural non-human causes for crop circles have been documented as well. An article in the February 10th, 2022 Daily Star newspaper out of the United Kingdom that tells a story about a poppy farm in Australia. The poppies are grown in a very controlled area for pharmaceutical use. Crop circles were discovered in the fields and caused great confusion. Next slide. After some investigation, it was discovered that wallabies were eating the poppies and getting high on the opium. This caused the wallabies to engage in erratic behavior, which included running around in circles. This would leave nice little crop circles in which they eventually passed out. So it's not just humans that can create them. I just can't, I've got this image of these wallabies just running in circles. I don't know. Can't get it out of my head. So can we go to the next slide?
We got a couple of guys getting drunk and making crop circles. Now we got wallabies getting high and making crop circles.
There's a pattern here.
Great. So here are some statistics on crop circles. As I stated before, more than 30,000 crop circles have been documented since the 1980s in more than 25 countries around the world. Colin Andrews, a crop circle investigator who is funded by Lawrence Rockefeller, yes, it's those Rockefellers, believes that at least 80% of these could be hoaxes. Andrews has built up a database of 10,000 crop circles that have been observed all over the world in the 11 years he did research. He was able to prove that 80% of the circles were faked. He hired private investigators to track down hoaxers and catch them in the act. So what damages come from crop circles? It doesn't seem like a big deal, but if we go to the next slide, it is estimated that farmers have lost $37,000 because of crop circles between 2018 and 2022. The wheat and barley loss could have made 300,000 loaves of bread, and the flattened rapeseed oil or rapeseed accounts for 600 liters of canola oil at a minimum. It's always assumed that since the plants aren't cut, they can still be harvested. Unfortunately, most combines can't harvest the bent stalks if they are below 6 inches without damaging the equipment. And this doesn't account for the damage done to the surrounding areas because tourists come in and trample through fields, grass, and other things just to see the phenomenon. So be it a hoax or be it the real thing, it's causing other damage as well. So if we have 8,000 crop circles that are hoaxes, how do we explain the other 2,000 circles? A true circle has some interesting characteristics. I'm going to try to play a video clip here from the Sacramento Bee, which crop circle researcher Patty Greer explains how she tells the difference between hoaxes and real crop circles. So give me a second here.
When I walk into a crop circle, for me, the hair stands up on my arms, goosebumps head to toe, tingles on the top of my head. I know I'm in a real crop circle because the electromagnetic energy is enhanced. What we can see in a human-made crop circle, it's so easy because every 3 feet, we see where they drop the board and the rope, and it's broken wheat every 3 feet. Very, very obvious. When we go into a real crop circle, they have biophysical changes, such as elongated nodes, blown nodes. And what's causing these nodes, and a node is like an elbow on a plant. If the wheat, the corn, the barley, it's a stalk, and every 5-6 inches, it grows a node like a support. When they're hit with crop circle frequency, they blow.
On her website, she states the following. Crop circles appear to be one of the first physical manifestations of co-communication between the earth, the water, human consciousness, and other dimensional beings. Spinning plasma vortices of high-frequency energies blend together to perfection and deliver messages to assist our evolutionary transformation. These visual masterpieces and templates have been laid onto acres of wheat, canola, barley, and corn year after year all over the world. Using a language we understand, art and math, the formation appears as pictograms, sacred geometries, and coded messages. It is believed that by simply viewing the images of crop circles, one is offered subliminal information to enhance their wisdom. She also goes on to say, More than half of the most prolific crop circles in the world have occurred within 40 miles of the ancient Avebury stone circle in Wiltshire, England, which includes Stonehenge. More than 90% of the crop circles were located over aquifers, which is notable. 3 underground streams meet in the center of the ancient Avebury stone circle, which is also where the famous Michael and Mary ley lines cross. Go to the next slide, Jamie. Patty believes that some of these crop circles include binary coded messages. Working with researcher Dr. W.C. Levengood, Greer believes that crop circles are formed by a type of plasma vortex that actually changes the structure of the plants. These modified plants also produce stronger seeds that bear better crops. Looking at some other explanations of crop circles, touched on UFOs a little bit. This theory is that either extraterrestrial beings are intentionally leaving messages in the crops or that landing is creating the patterns. Ley lines are another explanation. These lines are believed to carry energy currents. Ancient civilizations, artifacts, and monuments have been linked by these lines. The belief is that the energy stored in these lines comes to the surface and creates the patterns. Another theory, one actually favored by Andrew Collins, who I discussed earlier, is electromagnetic field theory. Measurements at true crop circles prove higher EMF readings are present after crop circles have been created. The belief is that shifting magnetic frequencies in the earth create the geometric patterns. Then the last theory that I'm going to have to suggest is whirlwinds. This is the least popular theory, as tornadoes and wind events are assumed to be easily tracked. So we should be able to pinpoint when and where these would create circles and the time that it was done. So I've just scratched the surface on the information that's out there. I couldn't believe how many movies, books, magazines, newspaper articles, and such there are. So, like I said, that's just scratching the surface. But what do you guys think at this point?
Well, crop circles were some of my first interests when it came to the paranormal, thanks to if anybody remembers the Time Life books from back in the day. Time Life did a series on the supernatural, and they always included crop circles and so on. But I remember vividly the guys with the boards and the rope. And it was always aliens. It wasn't extra dimensional like communications. It was always, as far as I can remember, it was always blamed on aliens and extraterrestrials, and it was something my mom believed in too. So
I can go back to being a kid.
Jamie, what do you think?
Well, I'll go back to being a kid as well, and for me it was a show called Project Blue Book, which was fictional, but it depicted things.
Yes.
It was the Air Force's Project Blue Book, and it was depicting their encounters that they were documenting. And I remember one of them vividly was on crop circles because they believed it was aliens. That's kind of what the push was back then, at least the mainstream push. And I kind of remember that from being, I don't know, 10 or 12 years old, and like, wow, that's really cool. Like, how do they do that? So I'm with you there, guys. And it's, I don't know how I feel about it, because, obviously we've grown to learn so many hoaxes are out there, and there's so many other plausible practices of what it could be, in the real world. But, I still want to believe. I'm pulling on Fox Mulder here, and I just want to believe, that it's something else. But I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I feel like I've been on the fence a lot lately. But
well, did you, Chad, in your research, did you notice any connection between these crop circles as they are and like the Nazca lines?
Which are the Nazca? They're the.
Do you have any idea what the Nazca lines are? The ones in Central America, South America, they're the huge pictograms, but you can only see them from the sky. Like from the ground, they just look like lines, really.
Yeah,
but from the sky they create. They make the big bird symbols and so on.
Right. You're right. There's no correlation between those other than the connection of ley lines. There are definitely more crop circles in vicinities of ley lines than anywhere else. And like I said, they are found all over the world. They are found in Central America. They're found in the United States. They're found in Canada. Like they're everywhere. So it's not just one. They're centered around that region in England, but they've been found elsewhere. So some other things that I didn't dive into here, but that just don't. It sort of bypasses the thought of human interaction. Is some of the times the crops are interleaved together. They're actually like braided as they're put down. So for a human to do that would take days or weeks, not like an overnight thing. So that you get what causes that.
So hold on though. Here's my question to that is, when this happens, these, I can speak from experience of being in the Midwest. The fields are huge, right? And you can go miles and miles without seeing a person or any kind of property. So what if somebody is, drifting out there to some place in the middle of nowhere, literally, and doing this over the course of a couple days or a couple nights, whatever, and making it happen that way to give it more authenticity. I mean, I can't rule that out. I can't speak for the area in England that was, the high concentration area. I don't know what that looks like geographically, but if somebody's going out to the middle of Iowa, you can go forever, and it's just wide open spaces. And how does anybody even find these things? I mean, obviously we have air, we can be in the air a lot, and there's stuff like that. But if somebody's just being on the ground level, how do you come across this and even understand what it is?
A lot of times is you don't see them from the ground. It's more like neighbors will see them and report them to their the farmers, or a lot of times they're seen from aircraft or things like that, which is, I think, why a lot of them weren't even, like, we didn't start hearing about them until late 60s, early 70s. So, I think it's because we were starting to fly in more and more over these areas, and that's why they were being discovered more often. And they do, obviously they're seasonal. That we're starting to get into the crop circle season in England right now. It's late April into May, and then it goes into late August into September. And in this picture you can tell that the fields are brown, which creates a different scenario for the crop circles than it does when they are, like, in the spring. If they're more pliable, they can bend and spring back a little bit. So in the later seasons, it's a more difficult thing to fake or to recreate, to create it as a human than something else. I sort of believe it's a combination of a bunch of these things. Like there was a whole bunch of different things listed that, electromagnetic, the vortices and things like that. I think it's just a combination of those. Just my gut thoughts, I guess.
So I don't know if this was.
I think if somebody tried to explain them to me in person, by trying to explain them via, what was the wind, the cyclone, I don't know how I would feel about that.
Right.
So, Chad, was it?
Go ahead, Jamie. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. This is the joys of being remote, right?
Yep.
The curious question I have is, when in your research, did you see anything to the effect of what would happen in the next season for these places, especially the ones that were not artificial, they were not man-made? These ones that the video person said, were clearly
like there used to be. Did it affect the soil or?
Yeah, I mean, do those crops come back? I mean, it seems to me like this is an imprint.
Right.
Is it permanent? does it stay there all, forever, or is it just something that goes away once the crops are pulled and
I think being
the crop seeded?
I think that again, it didn't specifically go into that. They do search the same areas year after year. I mean, this is actually a big research project that has gone on for years and years. And it's funny, the numbers did peak in the early 80s, but there are still hundreds found every year. So whether they come back to the same exact spot, that I didn't come across. I definitely want to dive into it more and watch some of these movies, and find some of the books. It's definitely something to this. I don't know what either. And I guess if we did know the answer, then it wouldn't be paranormal. So yes, there's definitely something there. I just don't know what it is. You go ahead, David.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just assuming it's aliens. I don't know. This is one of those, again, it takes me back to my childhood and looking at the pictures in the Time Life book, because we didn't have the internet, so I had to get it out of the library. Al Gore hadn't invented the internet yet, and I can just remember seeing them. But again, they had. I feel as if they kind of definitively that this is a case of people maybe holding on to something, because like the woman in the video maybe holding on to something, because I feel like they definitively disproved these things pretty effectively back in the. But then again, they had claimed when Jamie mentioned about Project Blue Book, they claimed that interaction with UFOs wasn't real either, and we all know that that's not exactly true. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence here. Like I lean more towards I don't believe it than I'm turning into Mel Gibson in Signs.
All right. Well, Kathy has a question here. Any feedback from the farmers after they know about it on their property? Farmers are not happy about these happening on their property. Obviously, with the loss of money, loss of the crop, the damage that comes from people traipsing through to find it. Some farmers have actually marketed it once that it did happen, because they knew they were going to lose so much money. So they, make T-shirts, they turn it into a marketing campaign. So does that, is it hoaxed for that reason? Because we all know farming is not. It's not the best way to make money these days. I don't think they would be hoaxing it, but who knows? So that's what I have on that.
Well, if they're not the ones doing it, I bet you they know a guy.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's that's a big part of this too, though.
Right.
I mean, if this is truly hoax driven, this is a cost effect issue. The $37,000 you mentioned earlier stuck to me.
Right.
And in the total, and that's just in one crop part. That's not even the final processing of that product. With the food output that it gives, that's substantial.
Mm-hmm.
On a major hit every year. I mean, obviously it's not one place by itself, but still,
right.
That is. And that's labor, someone's time and effort to get out there and get that field prepped and seeded, and it's a huge issue.
Mm-hmm. In Wiltshire, it's actually a criminal offense if you get caught doing this. It's vandalism, agricultural vandalism. But a lot of times, I think the number of insurance claims that have come for these are minimal, because it's just not worth the effort from what I was reading. And Amanda, can they file an insurance claim for something as weird as that?
What makes it weird? Come on.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, that people aren't filing insurance claims because it's just not worth the hassle that they have to go through for the claim, and the return on the claim is minimal. So.
So here's a question for you, both of you. And I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to say something stupid, okay? Because it's in the title. But why do crop circles only happen in crops?
Sure.
You know, why is this not somewhere like in an arid area, you know, on landfall? You know, I get that we're knocking down something, and that's the crop part of it. But you know, this is why is this not in a grassland somewhere in the middle of nowhere? You know, it's too easy because it's in a populated place. You know, farms are population.
Mm-hmm.
So where else in the world is this happening that it's, you know, not part of a man-made area or a population area of some kind of density?
That's a good question.
Or is it? Maybe it's happening. We're just not finding it.
Right.
Well, I mean, there are grass circles. There are. I mean, I just Googled grass circles, and there are grass circles.
Stuff came up.
Now, to the extent of, yeah, but I mean, not to the intense geometric pattern that you're looking for. And these grass circles seem to be more in the line of what do you the grass circles tend to be more in line of the old story about the devil walking in the circle and nothing grows in the middle of the circle. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
That circle, but that's what it feels like I'm looking at when I look at that. You know, it does not look like crop circles as we're discussing them here.
Right. And you know,
especially the geometric patterns that you're seeing, like in the one shown.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it has to do with the different structure between grass. Well, I guess grass is a grain, so once it grows tall enough, it would be the same structure as wheat or things like that. So never mind what I was going to say.
But well, I mean, grass would maintain kind of a pliability. I mean, think about it. You drive through your grass, like in my front yard. I drive through it to unload groceries up on my front porch. You know, I have that little patch of front yard right between my porch and the road, and you know, the grass is pressed down, and then you know it's resilient. I mean, it'll come. You know, give it a day or two, it's standing back up.
Mm-hmm. Amanda made a comment that she knows that they've found circles in the Amazon jungle as well. So they are other places.
Interesting.
I don't know. This has always been like a kind of a soft spot for me when it comes to this stuff, because I think this, of everything that we discussed and that we've looked at, like this seems to be the most skeptical of anything that I'm, you know, trying to that I can't get past. Like I just can't get past the plausibility of it all when it comes to, and especially with the video and the woman in the video saying that this, you know, you can definitely tell that it feels. To me, I just feel like people, like big believers in this, are people who are trying just to find something to believe in. There's my hot take for the night.
Okay. So two skepticals, and I'm not sure where we are.
Yeah, it's about right.
That works. Because it's
It's an interesting point.
Kathy had something to say there.
Native landowners letting present owners know they're still there.
Native landowners letting present owners that they're still there. Well, what happens to them? That's a good question. Like, what happens to them? Because I know that these things aren't just there forever. You know what I mean? Like, you can't fly over the Midwest and look down and just see crop circle after crop circle after historic crop circle.
Right. And I think that sort of goes to what Jamie was asking earlier. I think once the field is cut, and as best they can, it just goes to fallow, and they till it, and it's gone. It's apparently the actual plants that are being affected, not the soil. Now the one woman did say that it seems like the actual seeds and crop, the seeds are from the stuff that has been affected, are better seeds for the next growing season. Again, how can you prove that? It seems a little difficult. Yeah. Because she had said that there was a physiological change in the nodes of the circle or the plants. Then the seeds that those bear seem to be genetically changed and have a better yield the next year. So, but that's not, it's not necessarily planted in that field. It's going to, it's got to be in a laboratory environment and all that sort of stuff. So it's hard to say.
Has in your research, has there been any notation that circles reappear in the same place over and over?
Not that I found. I mean, same general areas, but I'm not sure that it's the same specific fields. The patterns seem to be different at different times of the year, different years. There is I did find a website that tracks, it's called the Crop Circle Connector. And they have an archive of year after year of the different, the ones that have been reported to them. Obviously, it's only things that are reported that they can show. And there are several websites out there that track them, and they don't seem to be repeating designs year after year. So that sort of answers the question about the land of, it's not the land has been affected. So
I think it should be noted that however this is happening, if and when it's humans, they're putting a hell of a lot of work into it. I mean, this is the one that's still on the screen. And if you go back a couple slides, I mean, it's just, these are impressive. And for somebody to go out there and, obviously we assume they're doing this in the middle of the night, and even under a full moon, that's a lot of detail to be able to put into something to get this to be so perfect. And we don't have enough scale on some of these to see, how big they really are. But I'm assuming these are quite large areas to cover. That's intentionality. I mean, it's impressive.
If you're looking at this one, those lines would be tractor ruts, is from my understanding.
Okay.
So they're big.
Yeah.
Wanted to go
Those
back.
were people in that. There was folks standing in one of those, so that gives a context.
Yeah.
We don't know how big a wallaby is, right?
Yeah. Well, that's actually the ones created by the wallabies. So.
Well, that makes sense, because that one seems more imperfect. Speaking of wallabies, hey, this one seems a lot more imperfect than the other ones. So I get that. But even still, to get a circle like that, that's still fairly, a pretty round circle.
Right.
It's not an oval or some odd-shaped thing.
So like you said, this is definitely a lot of work to go through, and basically every 3 feet to crush down grain it's not easy. You're fighting a lot of resistance.
Every 3 feet to stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
It's a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, actually, Amanda said it well. I was about to say the same thing. It is art, and to me, it's the graffiti artist. If you ever get stopped at a train crossing, and to see the cars go by, and every single one of them has some phenomenal art on it. That even though it's graffiti, it's still art. And this is, as much as this is damaging to the property and the crop and someone's livelihood, it's still pretty impressive that someone came up with this design and actually got the work done. I don't appreciate that they did it to someone else's property, but it's still worthy of consideration to be art.
Yeah, just looking at the images of them, and there's thousands of images out there. They are beautiful. I mean, there's not one that looks, unintentional or just sloppy or anything like that.
So there's not one that looks like we did it. Okay.
Right. And it's, now, and it's also turned into a marketing and advertising thing. I found one that was done to like Oreos, like, one like in the shape of an Oreo and had Oreo in the middle of it.
Well, it makes me think of down by Strasbourg, the Cherry Hill Farm corn maze every year. It's always a pattern of a very specific intentional pattern. And you get the map, and you got to go around and find all the stamps to fill in the map itself to get a color version of it. But it's really cool, and you can't tell what it is inside of it.
Right.
But once you can see the aerial of it, it really is something cool. There are many other places that do that every year.
Mm-hmm. Now, another thing that I didn't cover here is several of these that have come up with sort of the binary looking code in them have been located next to space antennas, the ones that they're using to track the satellites that are sending things back from. What's that, David?
The listening centers, you mean? Like the giant listening dishes?
Yeah. Some of the bigger ones that are out in the middle of nowhere that have fields beside them end up with crop circles within a half mile of those. Coincidence? It's hard to say.
With like you said the binary ones, right?
Yeah, let's see if I can.
Like the binary, the ones that can be broken down, the ones that can be broken down and said, okay, into ones and zeros,
Yeah, something like this that's got a pattern to it that's been able to be translated.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I've got. I mean, I don't have an answer. I find it interesting. Like I said, it goes back to my childhood too. I remember seeing these created. I remember when the guys came out and said, "Yeah, that was us. We've been doing that," and took credit for the majority of them. So, but I was just amazed at the sheer number of them that have happened over the years. It is a lot.
That impresses me as well. I would never expect that many, and globally for that matter.
Mm-hmm. So, anything else on this that you guys want to cover?
Well, I want to say one thing, and here's where this is going to sound stupid as well, but if this were alien activity, why aren't we seeing them from the moon? Right? We have the technology that we can get right up close now. So why would they not be on another sphere that's close to us? And why is it always in a field? I think this is us. I think this is us and us just messing around and being creative. But I don't really believe in the alien aspect of it.
Well, let's not bring the moon into this, because then you get me questioning why we haven't been back to the moon since 1969, even with all the advances in technology we've had.
Oh, this sounds like an episode.
Don't get me started.
I was gonna say, this is a whole debate right here, huh?
Nice.
Don't get me started.
All right, then I won't.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm out on the crop circles. Like I'm out.
All right. Well,
I'm out. Next week, I think we're going to get into another location.
Okay.
So we got to thank Chad for all the work he did on crop circles this week. We appreciate it.
Okay.
It was a good discussion. This is probably one of the livelier discussions we've had. on these topics in any of these lives that we've done. And that's my cat. The next week we're going to end up with a location. I'm stuck somewhere between either the Stanley Hotel or the Conjuring House. One of the two. Might be the Conjuring House because Jamie and I were there up in back in November, so it'd be a kind of an easy thing to do. And especially since didn't one of at one of the local Paracons this week, there was supposed to be a connection to one of the Warren cases. Chad, you were at before we go. Chad, you were at a local paranormal convention this weekend, weren't you?
Right. Yep. That was something that Melissa was referring to from last year that that we were talking about. But yeah, I did get up to Pennhurst this weekend.
Okay.
It was interesting. It was I enjoyed my time. I went up Friday night for a tour, did some investigations, got to meet some of the celebrity ghost hunters, not meet them, but see them do panel things, investigate with them a little bit. That was interesting. I was there the next day and it wasn't my vibe. It was a lot of oddities. And I just felt that the place and what was being presented sort of contradicted each other because of what happened there. I didn't get a good vibe from it. It made me, I didn't feel well while I was there. I didn't stay that long. I actually left pretty early. But it was, I definitely want to go back to Pennhurst and spend some more time there. But yeah, that was a good investigation. Speaking of investigations, Jamie, should I roll that little video clip?
I think that was a great time. Speaking of activity on Saturday, I think everybody. I'll set this up a little bit. I think everybody knows we're the house team at Booby's Brewery in Mountjoy, PA, and as we're there on a pretty much a bi-weekly basis, we've gotten to be known by the spirits of the house, and we were in the ballroom, and we were the next to last group that was going to come through, and the group behind us happened to be led by David, and we were trying to connect with Ani and Tekla, the children in the back of that room, and I said, activate the tripwire, which is sitting on the table, if you'd like to see Dave, and well, the rest of it is here. So,
all right, this is about a minute, so I won't let it run.
We only have a few minutes left here. We are going to leave. And we'll take a little bit of a break, and one more session will come back. So we're running out of time tonight if you'd like to communicate.
But I can tell you the next session that's up here will be with David, and I know you like David.
That's true.
Can you turn the light on to let us know that you're looking forward to talking to David?
That one down here. You can turn the lights on if you don't want to talk to David. Oh, I can't wait to show him this.
I suddenly feel personally
in your defense, there was one. There's a lot more on that cord than what you see. On the table, there was two tables put together, and one smaller one went off when I said, if you want to see him, light it. So in your defense, there was activity for your favor. There's just a whole lot more not. That's all.
All right. Well, that also is a good segue into stuff up at Boobies. David,
so here we are again, looking out. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Did my mic go out? Okay. No. So here we are looking out ahead for Boobies and Jotnik's Paranormal, June 10th, the 24th, and July 8th. We have public investigations. Tickets available for all of them. Only, we've got some left for the 10th, a bunch left for the 24th, 28th. So come on out. And July 17th, I missed that one at the bottom. We are going to Crescent Sanatorium. That's a Monday night, going to be an investigation. It's an odd night. So hopefully, there won't be a whole lot of traffic moving around, and we'll be able to get out there and get in and have a good investigation out there. Like I said, public investigations coming up at Boobies, June 10th, 24th, and July 8th. Tickets for the investigations are available at the link provided. You can go to our Facebook page, the Jotnick's Paranormal Facebook page. You can go to the Boobies Brewery Facebook page and click on the Paranormal Investigation link, and the tickets are available there as well. And our other production that the group is putting together, The Ghostly Truth, with Matt Nagel, Andrew Haldeman, Courtney and Justin Haversham. We are finishing up the production of the first episode. I believe Missy was going through the investigation notes and the investigation evidence. Hopefully we'll be able to present to the folks down there at the Bainbridge and get everything put together, spliced together, and get an episode out here. It's going to be a great episode, a lot of effort being put into it, a lot of time. So when that drops, make sure to take a look at it. And this is our social media. These are our social media pages. A lot of activity on all these pages. Your Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Interact with us. You can interact. All of us have access to it. You can interact with individual investigators. You can interact with the team. If you have something you want to share, you can always message us. If you're having something going on at your house and you want an investigation and a team to come out and do an investigation, by all means, contact us through one of our social media pages.
Yep. And on that note, please reach out and give us
feedback. And is that it?
Okay. Give us feedback on the episodes. Whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching it as a recording later, reach out, give us feedback. We love to know how we can get better. I enjoyed the discussion in the comments tonight. It was great to have a bunch of people on there talking about it. Any final thoughts tonight, guys?
Whew. I don't.
No, I'm out of thoughts.
Thanks for the topic. That was really cool. And Dave, you said it well. This was an interesting for a long time, and it was nice to talk about it with some other like-minded individuals on what it could be. So I appreciate the effort here.
No problem. My pleasure.
Well, it was a vast difference from checking the books out in the the Time Life paranormal books out of the Catholic school library that I went to. So I didn't feel so judged.
All right. Well, on that note, again, I want to thank everybody for watching. Again, either whether it was live or a recording. Look forward to hearing from you, and we will see you again next week. All right.
Yeah. Till then.